Italian prosecutors say Captain Pia Klemp isn't a hero but a criminal. They argue she didn't rescue migrants at sea but collaborated with people smugglers, a crime that could put her in jail for 20 years. But activists say the charges against her are political. They point to Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini's crackdown on immigration, which also barred 2 rescue ships from docking in Italy's ports. More than 23,000 migrants came to Italy in 2018. That's more than anywhere else in the European Union. Joining me now to discuss this from Rovereto, Italy, is Pia Klemp's lawyer, Nicola Canestrini, and in Brussels, European Parliament member Marco Campomenosi from Italy's Lega party. He was the parliamentary assistant to Matteo Salvini. Good to have you both on the program. Marco, let me start with you. So when we look at this from the outside in, these are volunteers who essentially want to stop people from drowning, and they want to help save lives, yet you want to throw them in jail or fine them tens of thousands of euros. It's very harsh. Why?
In Italy, we have a division of powers, so we politicians don't make statements on what judges are called to decide on. So what we may say in this situation is that what Salvini is doing is to send messages also to the people who wants to migrate to Italy, to Europe, is that they have to follow legal ways to enter in our country, to enter in the European Union. Italy has been left alone by the European authorities in order to face this phenomenon. And what Salvini is doing is also the only way to save lives, because to stop smugglers means to stop deaths.
Okay,
because
but Marco, you're telling me there's a division of powers. I can understand the justification. Yes. You're saying Italy has been left alone to deal with this. The other European nations talk big, but it's Italy and Greece and other countries that have to deal with the brunt of it. Fine. But on the other hand, you're telling me there's nothing that Salvini says or does that influences the courts. Which one is it?
No, of course. Our government has proposed new rules in order to make a clear distinction between who is making a sort of abatement of smugglers' activity from who is really working on solidarity. Because a boat starting from the African coast with the aim to make a sort to call the Italian authorities in order to ask them to make them enter into an Italian port is something we cannot accept.
Okay.
Because there are Libyan authorities with which we are working very well, and because there are Italian authorities who should take care of that, not ONGs which are working in a way which is not clear in some cases. This has happened also before the government.
Okay, so let me get a response from Nicola.
Because the case, for example, of Scott.
Right, hold on for a second. So we're going to talk about Luventa, we're going to talk about Sea-Watch, we're going to look at these different cases. But broadly speaking, Nicola, the approach from the government is that these are not volunteers, these are not rescuers, they are aiders and abettors of smugglers and human traffickers. Your response to that?
Yes, I look forward to see how they can prove this before an Italian court, because you see, it's very easy to criminalize people with a tweet or with a Facebook post. But in the courtroom, things are different, and it will turn out that there is no evidence in saying that those volunteers, which we should be grateful to because they helped to clean our coastlines, what happened there in the Mediterranean Sea. So it will turn out that they are acting out of solidarity. And I ask you, if there is an ambulance nearby the people that are going to be hurt or that need some help, is the ambulance helping people to save their lives, or are they helping the people who want to hurt each other? So of course the NGOs are there, exactly there where they needed to be, exactly there where people are dying in the sea.
Right. Nicola, let me ask you just for a second here. So, because yes, there are those people with really good intentions who want to make sure that people don't die. On the other hand, there are smugglers, people who manipulate poor people who are fleeing Libya or Tunisia or wherever. they take their money, they risk those people's lives, they collect their dollars, they chuck them on the boats and they say bye-bye and they're on to their next customers, right? Whether this is by intention or not, do you agree that these smugglers are being strengthened and emboldened?
The fact is that human trafficking is a very huge crime under international law and under Italian law, but it's very difficult to caught the real traffickers. So my impression is, but I'm speaking not as a criminal lawyer here, but as an Italian European citizen, it's very easy to point out if there is some small NGO to criminalize, and it's very difficult to get the real smugglers and traffickers, because you see, they don't, it would be very helpful for everybody if Italian government and European government, they could have some help from Libya. Let me say that. Libya gets our money, but does not stop the traffickers to operate.
Okay, so let's get a response. So Marco, if you want to solve the root causes, help solve the situation in Libya rather than punish the people who are just trying to save lives, no more, no less.
Yes, but Italy is helping Libya in order to have instruments in order to block these smugglers' activities. And this is very important because the less smugglers' activity is on, the less people will be treated and asked by these persons in order to have their money, in order to make their risks, take those risks, and so on. So what we may say is that also in some countries they would like to have, in some parties in Italy they would like to have a redistribution of immigrants, but automatic system of redistribution of immigrants in other European countries.
Certainly.
But this is something impossible.
And that's something you discuss in Brussels.
In the past.
Certainly, you're a member of the European Parliament. That's something you discuss in Brussels. But on the ground, right? Okay, to give you an example of Sea-Watch. So we've had Luventa impounded. We have the Dutch-flagged German boat Sea-Watch, which just drifts and floats around. 43 migrants are on it. Have your policy, but why not let them dock in Lampedusa? Then you can decide, fine, if it's your policy not to give them asylum, that's okay, but why let them float in the sea and risk their lives?
Their lives are not at risk because our authorities are checking the situation every moment. Second, we want to send a message to the Dutch and German states. They need to know very well that these associations from Germany, these boats with Dutch flag, they cannot enter in Italy. We need to stop this because it's not safe for immigrants. It's not good for legal immigrants. We already have in Italy because these people will increase the downward competition on wages,
so I want
salaries.
So I want to pose that to Nicola.
In Italy. And blocking this.
Okay, so I want to pose it to Nicola. So Nicola, the message is... go ahead, Marco, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that this is a message to the other associations who want to make this kind of activities. This is not anymore possible.
But Marco, if people die, is it worth the message?
To help immigrants.
If people die, is it worth saying, well, you know, those people died, so there's a message for you, Mr. Macron, Miss Merkel. Those people died and it's your fault. Is that what you want to do?
No, but the situation is monitored by the Italian authorities. The problem is that in the past, some of these ONGs did not follow the suggestions and the orders of the Libyan or Italian authorities. This has been a big problem. In this case, the Italian authorities are saying you cannot enter. They knew since the first moment that they could not have this. Italy is trying to involve all the other countries, but we know very well that the other European countries don't care about this situation. So they leave Italy alone facing this situation, and this is something we cannot accept.
Nicola, as uncomfortable as this might be for you, is it true that this is a popular policy that this new government is proposing, and this is what the Italian people want?
Yes, but I'm used to compare things to right or not right, not to how many people are saying that somebody should be done. Because you see, defending fundamental rights is mostly unpopular, but we have to do it. But let me say two more things to what I already heard. You stated, the parliament member of the Lega stated that they want to send a message. That's exactly putting the message over the people's lives, because we have people, tortured people there, people with post-traumatic stress disorder, and they need to have medical assistance. They are in right to ask for asylum. Nobody can prevent them under the Geneva Convention to file their asylum request. Then Italian authorities have to decide, probably not in 2 years or in 3 years, that's how long it takes in Italy to examine the asylum request, but in some months, if they have the right to stay or not. But nothing can prevent them to have medical care, humanitarian assistance, which is clearly stated by international laws and by EU rulings, and they need a place of safety. Is somebody forgetting that Italy has been convicted by the European Court of Human Rights in 2012 in the Hirsi case? Because European Court of Human Rights said that we cannot send people back to Libya because it's not a safe place. There's a violation of Article 3 against Italy, which was a state which had a great tradition of defending fundamental rights.
Understood.
Where are we now? Where are we now? We are letting people draw because we want to send a message.
Right.
And I asked the politician, where was Mr. Salvini when you discussed the Dublin Agreement, the fact that the Dublin Agreement has to be revised now? He missed the meetings, 5 out of 6 of them. He didn't go there.
Okay,
is he thinking to change the EU
okay,
policy?
so that's a good question. That's a good question. Marco, answer that for us and then I'll wrap because I'm out of time. Marco, where was Salvini? You want to change the situation, but he didn't show up for the meetings.
No, but this is not true. The Italian government is represented every time there are these meetings of interior ministers in Luxembourg. This is an issue proposed by some leftists in Italy. No, Salvini is doing his job very well. One big important part of his job is to stay between our citizens, to listen to them. So he's doing his job every day. The fact is that the most of these people coming to Italy from the Northern Africa are not are economic migrants. So the 80% of these people finally, when they are in our country, are not recognized as asylum seekers.
Okay.
Humanitarian assistance have been provided by Italy every time, especially to women, children, absolutely. Every time Italy has continued to assist these people entering in our country. We are only introducing something which Australia is doing since a lot of years.
Okay.
Now people know that it's very difficult to enter in Australia using this kind of ways.
Okay.
This is the fact.
Okay, it's also worth noting that once you're dead at the bottom of the sea, it doesn't matter whether you were labeled an economic migrant or a refugee, you're still drowned at sea. Marco and Nicola, I'm out of time, but it's been good to talk to you. Marco Campomenosi and Nicola Canestrini. Thanks for joining us.